content may not be suitable or triggering to some listeners. Listener discretion is advised. Hello, and welcome to another Millennial in Crisis podcast. This is your host, Chantal Marie, and this is where I deep dive into life's complexities and try all the self-help so you don't have to. So in today's episode, I'm going to discuss how the miracle morning has changed my life and has actually gotten me to do this, pursue something that I never thought I was going to do. But I think has really helped me to just feel better. I'm a dog mom, I'm a wife, I'm a sister, a younger sister. I am a daughter. I am an employee because, we gotta pay for all these things. So I do have a job. And I suffer from mental health issues. And so this is what has brought me here. And so how did I get to figure out what today's topic is about, the miracle morning? So, in order for us to understand where all this is stemming from, in June of this year, 2022, I went through what I would call my rock bottom. Mentally, physically, emotionally, in all aspects of my life, I felt like I had lost control of everything. Now, from someone outside looking in, you might be wondering, like, how, Chantal, you had just gotten married, the Instagram pictures were flowing, like the attitude was there, everything seems so fun, and you seem so okay. And it's now a shocker to a lot of people that know me that I did have to take a social media break, and a lot of you guys were wondering, where was I? Was I okay? What was going on? Why is she not posting? I loved posting on social media. But that is something that also helped me just heal. In January of this year, I was fired from my job. And if this has ever happened to you, like, it hurts. It still does hurt. But it's definitely what I attribute to having my mental health just... Sorry, guys. The noise out here. The local high school's having a game, and I don't have like a soundproof room, so I'm sorry if you hear them in the background. But anyway, let's get back to the sad stuff. So, in June of this year, like I told you, I hit rock bottom from the outside looking in. I had just gotten married. It was a month after my marriage. My husband is the most supportive human ever. And, I had a roof over my head. It seemed like everything was going fine. I had a great paying job. I was working from home. On paper, this job was amazing. I worked 4 days a week, working from home, pretty good rate. I got to be with my dog all day. Like, what else could a girl dream of? But turns out that be careful what you wish for, because I completely lost it. I grew up, and see, this is where we deep dive into the complexities of life, because I feel like when people ask me who I am, I like to say that I'm the product of everyone I've met and every place I've been to. And every single conversation I've had, I'm a product of all of that. Even if it was something so minute as, speaking to someone at the dog park, that to me, it probably has influenced something in me. And I'm also religion shopping. If you ask me what religion I am the one that, I just want to be a good person. I want to be able to pursue all my dreams and to be able to do anything I want as long as I don't hurt anybody. And I want nobody to bother me either. That's all I want. I want a simple, relaxing, and like passionate life. And when I say passionate, I mean like that everything I do comes with intent because there's passion behind it. So right now, my passion is, keeping a roof over my head. So that's why I go to work. But doing this, it's not a work for me, but I'm super passionate about it. And to have to take the time to really learn how to do this was, oh my goodness, you don't even know. But turns out the internet is a great resource, and you can actually learn everything here on YouTube. So from where the lighting is at, where my what mic I'm using, um, what software to use, and then realizing that like I don't have the money to buy new equipment and stuff, and so then I had to revive my 2012 MacBook Pro, and the internet also helped me do that, so that was amazing. But where was I going with this? I feel like I'm rambling on, guys. I'm so sorry, but this is the first episode, so we're kind of all over the place, okay? So just bear with me. So going back to my story of hitting rock bottom and realizing that, like, I just wasn't okay. At this moment in time, I was having panic attacks about every other day, if not every day, sometimes multiple times a day. And I had experienced panic attacks before. They actually came back after 5 years in December. And we don't know if it was due to a medication issue or maybe there was something triggering, maybe the holidays. Who knows, we're kind of, that's a mystery of like why the panic attacks came back. But anyways, that's a whole other issue I have to deal with my psychiatrist with. But they came back in December, and sorry, I'm just, California, LA County. There's so many things going on. I'm sorry, guys. So I'm pretty sure if I can monitor, the way that this headphones are supposed to work is that I can monitor what's going into the mic. So hopefully, see, this is too loud. You don't want that. I'm going to really, really blow up your ears, and it's not going to be nice. So let's not do that. Let's just wait for the helicopter to finish doing its helicoptering. I don't know if that's a word, but hey. Okay, so the helicopter is now gone. And the high school, I mean, I can't do anything about them, and their game's going to go on forever. And I really, really, really like to go to bed really early nowadays. So we're just going to have to push through. But anyways, yeah, so I was at my rock bottom, and I was just having all these panic attacks, and we didn't know why they were back. It was just, or at least, I would tell people that I didn't know what was happening. I knew that now in June, what was happening was that my body was reacting to the trauma of having been fired from my job. And so this gets us to the point where we talk about the crisis of the day. Today's crisis is identity. Who are you? What are we here for? What's the point? What's the purpose? Like, what makes you you, right? So this is where you're just going to have to hear me ramble on of how I see myself. I really had to think at that time. I'm having all these panic attacks. I really didn't think it was going to get better. And I will introduce here a trigger warning. I will be discussing suicide today. And so I guess let's get to that part. So sometime in July, I believe it was July 14th or that week of July 14th, I vaguely remember. But I remember that it was a Monday. And I remember that day, I just was the most hopeless I've ever been and the most convinced that there was no point in me staying in this world. The more that I played with that idea that day, I was like, yeah, like, what is the point? Like, I even got excited. I was like, right? Like, if I don't put so much importance into things, then like, what's the point? Right? Like, nothing was gonna make me happy. That was my mindset at that point. I was like, nothing's gonna make me happy. Nothing's gonna make me feel better. And I also felt very, very ashamed that I felt those things because I had a great husband who was trying to support me through it all, who was very patient, who never once complained about the burden that this was going to put on him, not only mentally, physically, but also financially. And I'm just so grateful that I had him. But it was like, what is going to make you be happy again? And then I realized I had not experienced joy in months. My disassociation was pretty severe. I was driving from point A to point B, just feeling completely disconnected. I was like, how did I get here? I don't even remember the drive, which to me, that's very dangerous because if you know anything about me, is that I love to drive. Like if we're on a road trip, I'll be like, can I drive? Like, if one person says I hate driving, I'll be like, can can I drive that car? Because like I just want to drive. I don't know. I like it. Even in traffic, I don't mind it. Just have a good playlist and like just enjoy the moment. And like I'm the person who's always dancing, like trying to make other people laugh, because why not? We're already in traffic. Like if you're gonna have a bad attitude and you're in traffic, come on. The one thing you can control is your attitude. So just laugh it off. And so, oh my God, so much rambling going on. But then let's see. So yeah, so that day, um, yeah, I would go into like these deep dives in my head about what it meant to be alive and what was the whole point of being here. I was like, really? Okay, like if we really think about it seriously, all right? I was like, I am this accumulation of cells, right? That's expressed in this body human form that is tied by some physics to a rock that's floating in this thing we call space, which we don't know what it is really. Or I mean, I haven't read that book yet. But, and then this rock, while it's big in the perspective of the human, it's really small in the relativity of space. So, and I was like, and everything is temporary here, right? So like, what was going to be the point? Why did I have to like work so hard or try so hard to do things if it really didn't mean anything? Like we were all going to die at the end, right? Like this is what happens, right? With life, we all die. No, I'm not telling you anything you don't know here. We all die, but like, what is the point of putting so much effort into living if that's going to be the end? And then I realized that like I had to completely change my mindset when it came to that. And what made it happen was the love I had around me. And that time in July, my mom had been staying with us for probably a month or a little bit over, just because I felt like I needed that support. And it wasn't because I wouldn't tell her what I was thinking at all. But I felt like just if she was there, like that was good enough for me. I didn't have to tell her how I felt every day. I didn't need her to hug me. I didn't need her to feed me. I just needed her here, to have that closeness. I feel like it was like having my Prozac in my bag every day, even though I don't drink it, you know? It was like, at least it gives me comfort, and it kind of eases that anxiety that like, if it gets really bad, there's going to be somebody to stop me. And I had to think about that, right? I remember that Monday, and I was like, I just needed to go for a drive. By that point, I had been off work for like 6-7 weeks. I went on a medical leave and then just ended up not going back to that job because that job really broke me. But, it had been about that long. I was stressing out about what the next move was going to be. I was like, okay, well, I know that the job that I'm at is not where I want to be. But like, what do I want to do? I was just like, I was like, nothing that like is out there seems like something that I want to do for the rest of my life. Right? I was just like, how do I figure this one out? Okay. So, and again, I was just still going back and forth. Like, do I do it? Do I not do it? And we're going to dive into here another trigger warning about sensitive content here, is that we're going to deep dive into the way that I thought about actually, you know, going through with it. So, while I was thinking about my suicide plan, I was thinking, okay, not only how I would do it effectively, because I didn't want to go through like the aftermath of not doing this successfully. I was like, what a fucking joke, mate. Like, you know, if you're going to commit to doing this, like you really better get to it. And that's because I'm that type of person. I don't like to half-ass anything. But my energy was not being put in a healthy manner. Okay. But don't worry, the story does get better. We are in front of this camera now. Okay. But I just want to explain to you like how dark it got, just so you know where I'm coming from and like why I ended up here. But the way that I thought about this was okay, it happens, right? I needed to think about location. I wanted to think about, like, okay, who was going to find me? And, like, and I wanted it to be, like, kind of fast because I didn't want to, like, be. I just wanted my body in good condition when it was found because I was, like, going to do my makeup and everything, make sure I look cute. And wasn't thinking of doing anything that would, like, you know, affect the way I looked. So I was thinking, okay, so it's not only the fact of someone finding me. Let's say that I can figure out a way that it's nobody that I know that finds me. Okay. Let's say that I'm like, all right, I figured that one out. But, like, just thinking of how selfish I was being at this moment in time made me snap out of it. And now I laugh about it. And it was no laughing matter that day. That day, I just cried in my car for hours and hours. And this is a good break because I'm starting to cry and Rue needs to go outside. That's him telling me that, Mommy, we need a break, okay? So bear with me and I will be right back. Okay, so for me, that was about 2 hours, and for you, it was just a couple seconds. But we were talking about how depressing it got for me, and how I was about to cry. But um, to sum up everything, the moment that changed my life was the moment that I decided to take a deep look and realize that I had so much love around me, and that was the love that was going to keep me alive. So I didn't want to leave, my love with any additional mental health problems. Like, we already have a lot going on. I didn't want to leave them with any debt. I didn't want to leave them with questions, unanswered questions, something that they'll be like, could I have done something? I didn't want to leave them with that. Like, I was going to be gone and I was going to be hopefully at peace, right? Who knows? But I just didn't feel like it was going to be fair for them. So now we're at the pivotal point, right? Now we're at the point where I have to really make a decision. Okay. So I had decided that suicide was not going to be an option for me. It wasn't something that I was going to pursue. But I also knew that the reality that I was living in was not the reality that, like, I wanted to live for the rest of my life. I really needed to find my purpose and I needed to figure out how I was going to get there. How do you even figure it out? Like, honestly, if someone were to ask you today, hey, what's your purpose in life? Okay, like, well, you might answer that, like, oh, like, I want to be an accountant. I don't know if you know accountant, whatever it is. Or for myself, right? I want to be like a podcaster and I want to be a content creator. I want to bring in some digital media for you guys. Like, when you really got to be honest with yourself of why you're doing something. And if you're doing it just for the money, then, you got to reevaluate your passion. I feel like after the books that I've read, that any passion that you have can also become your source of income. And so, we're all just trying our best here because I would love to do this full time. That would be ideal. And I know it's going to take me time there, but I am so hopeful that this is going to work out because I'm putting in the work to do so. Which brings me to my next topic, which is the miracle morning, how Elrod's miracle morning and how it has changed my life and allowed me to pursue my purpose, to discover myself. So, how Elrod is an author and also a motivational, like, keynote speaker. He has died multiple times. You can read his books; they're on Audible. Um, that's how I became aware of the miracle morning. Well, how I consumed it, I guess. But I found out about the miracle morning listening to The Law of Attraction Changed My Life with Francesca Amber, which is another podcast that I really recommend, if you have an open mind about, the law of attraction. But anyways, so with the miracle morning, the whole point of it is that you would at least wake up ideally an hour before your usual time, but that this hour is solely dedicated to your self improvement. Okay, this is just gonna be an hour. It's not an hour where you wake up earlier to make sure that, like, your husband has food for lunch, or you pack the lunches for the kids, or you're getting earlier to respond to those emails earlier and try to get more work done. No, 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 no. The miracle morning is dedicated for yourself. Is where you put in the time because you love yourself to improve yourself, right? If you think you've known it all, I think that, you know, eh, I don't think so. Um, there's always room for growth, there's always room for knowledge, and there's always room to pursue, new endeavors. And so, what happens with the miracle morning is that it helps you focus on them instead of just being like that someday. I think what it makes you do, it's like, okay, you got to concentrate. And it's great because it's a challenge. And I love challenges. And so, this is why this was exciting for me. Okay. So, how has this method called the savers is what you do every morning, right? So, okay, so you're like, you're going to wake up and then right now, okay, I woke up an hour early. Now what? Okay, so the first challenge is to try and do the savers. These are 6 practices that you start off doing 10 minutes each for, to have a full hour where you're actually just dedicating to yourselves. So the S in savers stands for silence. And silence can mean a couple different things. For me specifically, it means meditating. So I love to dedicate at least 10 to 15 minutes every morning to meditate. As a person who suffers from panic attacks, has a history of severe panic attacks, this has really helped me, I think, just start off my day. And it's the first thing I do every morning. I wake up, I brush my teeth, I don't hit snooze. That's another very key thing about the miracle morning. Don't hit snooze. The first thing that you probably want to do is brush your teeth, just because it's something that you kind of have on autopilot and you don't need much energy, but it gets your body moving and going. And so it's really helpful. Okay. So let's go back to the savers. So, yes, the S stands for silence. It could be meditation, it could be yoga, it could be breathing exercises, it could be sound baths. It's just a time of self reflection and to set the intention for the day. Those are the main goals of this silence time, just to auto reflect. Maybe you had a rough day yesterday, but you want to go ahead and take a look into this new day and be like, okay, that was yesterday. I'm going to shut off. I'm going to have a great day. Maybe you have, an interview coming up or an exam or something very important, a deal or anything like that. So that's the time that you have for yourself. So that has really helped me just set the intention of having a good day. And it's mostly because I'm also doing the law of attraction, but that will be information for another episode. Now let's go to the A in savers. So the A stands for affirmations. And he further in his book, he goes into depth about how affirmations need to be done when it comes to the savers. So they need to be very clear, they need to be specific, and they need to be intentional and realistic. Um, so I know a lot of us, if we're anything familiar with affirmations, we're used to, the I am beautiful, I am strong, I am a money magnet. And if you're not familiar with this and this is all new to you, you can just go on Pinterest, Google, any search social media or anything, hashtag like that. Look for affirmations, and all of a sudden you are going to be all of these things because most of these things starts with I am, right? Okay. So we're used to the simple I am a money magnet. I am, you know, beautiful. So these affirmations have to be with intent and they have to be realistic and they kind of, you can actually see them materializing. So the more that you repeat them to yourself, it's like the more that it's focused again one more time. So, for example, one of my affirmations is I am an organized podcaster and I will record 2 episodes every week. Okay, that's my affirmation. I am a successful podcaster and I will record 2 episodes every week. And I at first I thought it was really silly. Trust me, doing affirmations at first can feel really weird because you're like, I'm just talking to myself or looking in the mirror. Like, is this really working? Is it not working? Please just be patient with yourself. Allow yourself to try it out. Um, if anything, it doesn't harm you. Okay, and maybe you laughed a little. Um, but give yourself the permission to try new things that might be a little bit out of the box or that, people might be judgmental about. But hey, what do you have to lose but yourself if you don't try? Because this might be the one thing that answers all the questions for you. So, just putting it out there. So those are the affirmations. Now we also have the V in savers for visualization. And this is a bit of like an affirmation, but you want to see it a bit more realistic. So you want to visualize not only your goal, like, okay, I see a picture and I am getting all these notifications that my podcast went viral, and all of a sudden, um, I'm able to make this my full time job. Okay. Let's see that. Let's see that. That is one of my goals, and I totally do visualize this. Okay. But what he also specifies again about the need for these things to be really specific and really intentional. So, when I visualize, you want to visualize with all of your five senses. When you're in this place, when you reach this goal, what does it smell like? What does it look like? What does it feel like? How do you feel internally? Um, you could also think about like the first person that you would tell once you reach this goal. And it doesn't have to be something so drastic like myself here that I'll probably be doing this affirmation for 3 years before I see it come true. But when you ask me what it was, I'll tell you. I visualized it and I affirmed it. Um, but it's it could be something like I visualize myself losing 10 pounds in the next 3 months. The final quarter of this year, I'm gonna lose 10 pounds. Okay. So that's a very specific visualization. So if I were to visualize that, right, I like to close my eyes and you can see how I don't do my shadow properly, but it's okay. Um, for those of you listening, you guys are saving yourselves from seeing very bad eyeshadow work, okay? But at least it's good product. Anyway, um, how I would visualize this 10-pound weight loss in the last quarter. Okay, I would think about myself. Um, you also have to visualize how you're gonna get there. Okay, so I'm gonna visualize myself going to the gym every day, being excited of going to the gym, putting in all the effort. I'm like, okay, every day at the gym, I'm a badass, right? I have my best playlist. I'm going to the best instructor. I'm trying everything. I'm doing my part to make sure that I get there. And then I also visualize myself. Okay, I visualize myself on that last day of the year, and I step on the scale. Right. But this time, I'm not anxious about the scale. I'm actually excited. I'm like, I know I've put in the work and I'm going to see those 10 pounds or even more because I worked for it. Right. But you have to visualize all of that. You have to visualize and feel everything. Okay. So now I'm looking at the scale and I'm like, holy moly, I've lost actually 20 pounds. Right. Because I always want to strive for a little more. So, like, oh my God, I feel so excited. Like, I know exactly which pants I want to try on now, like, and that's the thing about setting these goals and visualizing these things. Like, you have to visualize everything, not only like when you get there, but how you get there, how you're going to feel when it happens, and what you're going to do when it happens. And I totally believe that you should treat yourself to something when you reach those goals. Okay. So for me, a year and a half after my weight loss surgery, I decided that I was going to finally jump off a plane. And that for me was a gift from me to me, and totally celebratory. And that's one of the main reasons that, like, when I was working out, I was like, oh my God, I just want to make sure that I make weight. And like, now looking back at it, I think I was like doing affirmations and visualization since back then, just brainwashing myself, I guess. But I just didn't know what it was called or how it was really put into practice until now that I'm taking this like extremely seriously. But um yeah, I just remember being at the gym and being like, okay, you got to keep running. You got to keep working out, because if you don't, you're not going to meet weight when you go weigh yourself to jump off a plane. And like, how embarrassing would that be? Right. I knew how I was going to feel if I didn't meet that goal. Okay. So so we're now, again, we have silence, affirmations, visualizations. Now the E does stand for exercise. But if you remember earlier, I told you that the goal of this was to do these 6 practices for at least 10 minutes. So it doesn't even have to be extraneous. Okay. You could be stretching. You can do stretching exercises for 10 minutes. But the point is to get your body moving. Right. And again, this is all things that are going to improve who you are. Okay. But I mean, I've never regretted a workout, like seriously, consistently, for the many times that I've been to the gym, that I walk out of there and I'm like, oh my God, I hated that workout. It doesn't really happen. The biggest struggle for me is just getting up and making it there, driving there, getting off the car, even when I'm at the parking lot. That's the biggest struggle for me. But just trust that you got this. You can do this. You can do this. Okay. So again, it doesn't have to be anything strenuous. You can put I know there's a 7 minute like HIIT workout that's very popular. So for 7 minutes, you just like work really, 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 really hard. And people have seen changes. If your intent is to do weight loss, then start there. Personally, I don't do the 1 hour miracle morning. I do like the 4 hour miracle morning. So, because I've also read other books about like the importance of having a 5-9 routine. Um, so the 5-9 routine is just, again, it's like a longer version of the miracle morning. So we just really focus on yourself. But in this, we'll get to that part. Um, so for example, for me, my routine for the miracle morning is I wake up, I brush my teeth, I change my clothes, change into my workout clothes, head out to the gym. I exercise first, and then I go into the steam room. And while I'm at the steam room, I'm meditating. So I put on and I do guided meditations. I'm still practicing my own meditation skills, but for now, Spotify has great guided meditations. So I just put on, my timer. I'm like, okay, I know I want to be in the steam room for 10 minutes, so I'm gonna look for a 10-minute guided meditation. Once the meditation is done, then I can walk out of the steam room and everything is done. Okay, but by this point, I'm an hour and a half into my morning. And I've already worked out, burned a lot of calories, I've already meditated. And then as I'm driving home from the gym, I'm visualizing because it takes me 10 minutes, right? So again, like at least 10 minutes to each exercise. So as I'm driving back home, I'm starting to visualize my day. And the visualization can be daily, it can be for something in the future, it could be, for those 10 minutes, you can visualize two different things. But just like really, really deep inside, feel it. You're like, okay, I see it, I see it, I see it, I see it. Um, and what this says is just, it just starts setting the tone for your subconscious to be like, okay, well, we're just gonna make all the actions because apparently this is something that I really want. Okay. Um, and then the R in savers is reading. And again, it's only 10 minutes. That's all you have to put in. Even if you think like, oh no, I've never been a reader, like, well, just because you've never been a reader doesn't mean you can't change. Okay, this is the thing about us, like adults, we think that after like we turn 18 that we're trees, that we can't move, that we can't change, or like that you can't put in new practices in new places just because you've been conditioned to act a certain way or because a trauma has impacted you in a certain manner. It might be harder for you to make those changes or to move a little, but it is possible. I definitely believe that it is possible. So, if you're the type of person who's like, I've never been a reader, but like, I really, I keep hearing that people benefit from reading, just dedicate 10 minutes. Um, and because it is during the miracle morning, when you're reading, preferably you're not reading anything for like a fantasy, right? Like I'm not reading Harry Potter during my miracle morning. I'm reading like Atomic Habits. I'm reading like the 4 Hour Work Week, Get Good with Money. Right now, I'm reading Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I'm reading The Magic because I'm also doing The Magic, which, if you don't know, it's the challenge that comes after The Secret, which, if you also don't know, just Google it. There's an Amazon Prime video, and I'm going to have a whole series coming up with that um, about doing The Magic. But so yeah, so that's, you want to include content that is going to improve you, right? That's going to make you grow. So whether that's, it could be like, okay, well, I am a gamer, and the thing that's going to make me grow is if I read this article about like this new content coming out and things like that. That's fine. But usually you want to be doing things that like um that are going to improve different areas. Like maybe I decided that like, hey, I want to like read up on how our podcasters trying to like handle politics, right? So my reading, like I can go online and search for an article of saying like, hey, how do you handle um politics in podcasting? And then that's self-development because that has enriched me, and it's also going to enrich my craft. Okay, so again, it's just 10 minutes. um and even if you are deciding to read the Harry Potter book because you haven't, like ever been a reader, just start reading. That's totally fine. You can get to the self-help later, but the point is to start and prove to yourself during the first 30 days that like, oh my god, I only have to do 10 minutes a day, and like I'm already done with the book. Okay, I have always been a reader, but I lost my way for like 5 years where I wasn't reading anything consistently, but I kept buying books. And I'm not gonna lie, guys, within the last month, so I'm on day 5, like I mentioned, of my second round of the Miracle Morning, which means I'm technically on day 35, and I've read um So I'm on day 16 of the magic. I've read Rich Dad Poor Dad. I've read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill is what I'm reading right now. I listened to the Audible for Essentialism. I listened to what else? I read a lot of articles on minimalism because I'm also trying to downsize like my stuff. Um, but I just felt like myself again. I was like, oh my God, yes, yes, yes. Like I always knew I was a reader. But if you're not a reader, that's totally fine. Maybe your satisfaction will be like, oh my God, I actually read something. And like you'll learn something, maybe you'll see the value in it, maybe you won't. But at least now you'll be able to say, hey, I tried it for a whole month and it wasn't for me. Okay. And then the last S in Savers is going to be for scribing, which is another word for writing or journaling. And this is where you write, maybe like your daily gratitude. It's that's what the magic is about, is leading with gratitude. And so for me, the way that my journaling works every day is I write 10 things that I'm grateful for that I already have. Okay. And it has to be 10 different things every day when you're doing the first challenge. I think I'm going to end up going like down to 3 just because you have to choose 10 different things every day. And like, I'm going to come up with like 300 at the end of the month. So, but it does help. You can also, if you're having a bad morning, you can dump all those feelings journaling. I hesitated from journaling for a very long time and I don't know why. Because I love to write, I love to speak, and I like to, just jot down my ideas. So I've been writing so much, and let me just grab my journal here real quick. Okay, and sorry for those that are listening, you're gonna hear the pages, but yeah. So my journal started June 23rd. This was before I was really, thinking, having really, really, really dark thoughts. But then I can see myself, and the good thing about journaling is that you can always look back when you feel better and realize how far you've come. Um, my journal entries were so differently drastic between that first June 23rd journal entry to the one that I did on September 23rd. And so you can find that on my Instagram. I posted it about a week ago or so when I was announcing this podcast. But you can see, how the journaling has worked for me. I also put in here any like random idea that I have throughout the day. I always carry it with me just because I never know when like I'm gonna feel a little anxious and things like that. And it helped me a lot through my anxiety. Um, or when I was just feeling really negative and I didn't feel like putting that energy out into the world, put it down on paper. And so yeah, so that's the miracle morning. It's, remember again, it's called the Savers, and let's go ahead and review them. So it's silence, affirmations, visualization, exercise, reading, and scribing. Okay. And it has completely changed my life. So these are the things that I have accomplished so far. I've read about 5 books this past month. I've made it consistently to the gym every week for at least 6 days a week, and I've lost some weight. Um, I have consistently meditated and I haven't had a panic attack in the last 30 days. I have journaled and created this whole podcast within the last month. Every morning, when I was thinking of like, okay, what am I going to read or what am I going to spend my time on? I was watching YouTube videos of like how to record this, how to make this happen. Um, this is a new project that is very scary for me because it's very vulnerable. But I know that I'm working hard and this is gonna work. Okay. And for me, success is not measured in the views or, if I can go full time with this. Success in me is having found something that I really enjoy and I don't mind putting all this work for. I know it's gonna help someone. I really do have faith in that. Um, and again, this is a trial and error kind of place. So we'll find our groove here. It is the first episode, and I apologize if it was all over the place. But I'll keep doing my research every morning, and I'll keep researching on how to make a podcast sequence better. But just know that you too can achieve your dreams, and don't limit yourself from the best version of yourself, because that's what I was doing, and trust me, it wasn't pretty. Um, Now I can say that I am content. I wouldn't say I'm happy. Um, I would say I'm content. And let me rephrase this, because I still have a lot of problems. I still have mental health issues. I still have weight problems. I still have um, you know, just problems in general, just like everybody else. All the categories, there's problems in them. But I feel like where I was at in early June or July um is completely different than the person that stands here with you today. Now I feel like, okay, if that happens, okay, then it's gonna happen. But I feel like now I have the tools to properly navigate that. And I also have the confidence that if I don't have the tools for that, that I have a great support system with me. Because when I tell you that this last rock bottom was horrible, 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 that's exactly how it was. Just talking about it right now, Lord, was it hard. Um, but I'm just so, so, so grateful for my husband. And if you're listening to this, thank you, thank you, thank you for taking Rue and picking up pizza because I needed to record the last 20 minutes of this podcast. Um, I appreciate you and I love you so much. And thank you, thank you, thank you for letting me dream so big. Um, and so, yeah, thank you very much for listening. So, this was another Millennial in Crisis. And I'll see you guys next Tuesday, where we're going to talk about my weight loss. I know you guys are excited about that. See you next week. And thank you, thank you, thank you so much for being here.